Hello, today's math lesson we're going to be discussing the relationship between percents, fractions, and decimals. Now the good news about percents, fractions, and decimals is that they are all exactly the same thing, just represented in a different way. So that means if I understand what the percent is, I'll be able to figure out the decimal as well as the fraction, and vice versa. Okay, so we're going to start with understanding what exactly a percent means. What does this word mean? Well, a percent is pretty much a fancy word for a fraction out of 100. Okay, so that means if I have 30 out of 100, I will have 30%. What about if I had 15 out of 100? Excellent, 15% would be my value. So if we were to pretend we took a test, and it's a really difficult test over 100 questions, that's why, as you can see, this grid has 100 total squares in it. Well, I wasn't super successful in this particular test. Out of 100 questions, I only managed to get 12 right. So what exactly would my percentage be on this test? Yes, only a measly 12%. Sad as that is, okay? Well, there was another kid in the class. He was quite a bit more successful than me. Instead of 12 questions correct, he got 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 92 questions correct. So what would his percent have been on that test? Excellent, 92%. So hopefully that you now understand the relationship between a percent and a fraction. You will always understand that a fraction out of 100 will give you the percent that you are desiring to find. Okay? Now, a decimal is a little bit challenging, but not too much, because once you have the percent, you are easily able to manipulate that to find a decimal. Let's say I have a scenario where I got 92 questions out of 100 correct on a test. So of course that gives me 92%. Now, in order to find the decimal, all I have to do is move. So pretend I have a place value and I move it twice. And that gives me a decimal of 0.92. Okay, 0.92 means exactly the same thing as 92%. Remember, percent, fraction, and decimal are exactly the same thing, just represented in a different way. Okay, all you have to do, though, in order to find that decimal is move that place value 2 places from the right to the left. All right, let's do one more practice one. Let's say I have 17 out of 100 on the test, which only gives me a measly 17%. So as a decimal, yes, once again, you move that decimal place 2 points to the right, and that gives you 0.17. Okay, so a decimal, if you remember to take that value and move it from the right to the left 2 place values, you will get your decimal from that percent. Okay, we're going to do a few practice ones just to make sure that you completely understand what you're doing. On this particular question, I was able to get 32 correct out of 100. So what does that leave for our percent? Well, a percent's a fraction out of 100, so we have 32% on that test. And for that decimal, yes, so what we do is we take it 1, 2, move it to the right, and we have 0.32. Okay, excellent work. Now this one might be a little bit more tricky. Sometimes people have some issues finding the decimal when the value is less than 10. So let's say I got 9 questions correct on that test, so 9 out of 100 gives me 9%. But decimal-wise, okay? So in this situation, a lot of people might be tempted to write 0.9 as their decimal. But the truth is, you actually take it and you go, ooh, that wasn't what I wanted to do. Let's take that away. You take it and you go 1, 2, and you fill in that hole, right? Because whenever you have a blank empty space while you're moving the decimal, you always put a place value in there. And our decimal would be 0.09 instead of 0.9, okay? So there you have it, the relationship between a percent, fraction, and a decimal. Hopefully you're able to use that information to be successful on the assignment.